會議嚇。
All right, we'll resume the meeting. Deputations and individuals, please stay calm when you express your views. Next, we have Patrick Chang from Hung Chung Driving School. Good morning, friends from trade. Today I come here on behalf of the company. The dual approach doesn't keep up with time. Now people talk about PDI taking up streets and road space. Now even the DI in the designated schools, they also occupy space. We take up certain road space, but I think the situation can be remedied by the administration via certain measures. As for the priority given to DI when we apply for license, I don't think it's a good solution. Rather, we should have a standardized issuing mechanism so that we can leave things to the market mechanism. And so the driving instructors can choose to be private ones or whether they want to work at driving schools. I only had 2 chances in the lot drawing exercise, and I can only blame myself for my bad luck. Now, some people got the chance in the lucky draw, but then he could not get the license. That's why I say the current exercise is not fair, and I think the dual-prong approach should be abolished. On the other hand, the qualifications of RDI should be protected so that their future interests can be protected as well. Mr. Cheng Xiu Hang from Hong Kong Kowloon Goose Vehicles, Omnibuses and Minibuses Instructors Association. Good morning, deputations and administration. Most of us are law-abiding citizens. All along, we support the fair and just governance of the administration. I hope the Transport Department will not be partial to any companies or any organizations in supporting their unreasonable course, because in doing so, you will encourage people to make protest, to fight for their own interests. For the RDI, as soon as they sign the contract, it states clearly that they should teach in the driving schools, and if they choose to leave, then they will lose their qualifications. So if they choose to work outside, they should be subject to the same treatment as the members of the public in application for a license. You should not make special arrangements for the RDI, because in doing so, you will impose grave implications. Other drivers, for example, bus drivers, will claim that they have qualifications and they are entitled to another license to teach. But that can't be agreeable. The most important thing for you to uphold is fairness. A fair lot drawing exercise. Legislators should not be swayed by unreasonable wishes and their scams. You should uphold your values. Mr. Stephen Cheng. Good morning. I represent Kwun Tong Driving School. This is a golden opportunity for me to express my views. I support the government's policy. Depending on traffic load, depending on market demands, instructor license should be issued. We support the dual-pronged approach. I'm from a driving school, and the driving school has to be able to train up our own driving instructors. We will not stop our instructors from leaving the school and pursue their career path. If they want to leave the school after 3 years, they can always get a PDI license. I'm fine with it. We set the serving period as 3 years because we don't want to be a stepping stone for them. We don't want them to think that they can get a PDI license as soon as they leave the school. We have to maintain fairness. We don't want our DI to be a PDI too, because if they wear two hats, then we can't manage them. They themselves will also be self-employed, so they will not listen to the school. So it's not just a matter of employment. If the government grants their wishes, they will be very arrogant when they work with the driving school. So if there's any legislative amendments, these points should be considered. And there should be a buffer period when the first batch of license is issued, so that we can have time to train up our own drivers. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, government officials. I am from Hong Kong Commercial Vehicle Driving Instructors Association. I'm Chang Cho Kong. Group 2-3 instructors support option 3 proposed by TD, so that existing and current RDI can apply for the 287 licenses. Now, the 3 groups should be merged together, however, because that can enhance quality of DI. Now, I have some questions for the Transport Department. The TD supplied CB bracket 1 1512 bracket 2 in para 7 and 9. It says that the transport panel supported option B, which is like the 3-in-1 proposal. How come in the 6 or 9 options proposed today, option B is not available? Now, I respect the views of members. Mr. Yao pointed out that the 3-in-1 proposal can enhance quality of RDI, and the driving students will benefit. That's what he said on the 30th of March last year. And so I urge members and colleagues to support 3-in-1 option. This will enhance the qualifications and benefits of the students and will also enhance safety on the road. Please put public interest as your priority. Next, Mr. Ka-lok. Good morning, Chairman. I'm coming here on behalf of Hong Kong Motor Car Driving Instructors Association Limited. I hope option 1 will be maintained. The trade has been consulted, and I hope the 3 groups will be maintained. There should be fair, just, and open lot drawing exercise, so that interested parties can make applications to become a driving instructor. As to whether there should be lot drawing for groups 2-3 for RDI license, please do a consultation, a real consultation to gauge views. Please maintain the current mechanism, that is to keep option 1. Mr. Ng Chiu Wing, good morning. I'm not eloquent, and I don't know how to shoeshine people. However, I want to say that there should be some room for people to learn to drive. This is something proposed by the TD. In 1998, a company that exploits the public interest but refuses to take up public responsibility operates, and it gets the endorsement of the TD. It can sack anyone it wants and then hires anyone they want. Now, I'm working in Kwun Tong Driving School. I entered the Hong Kong SM in 1989. I've been teaching driving for over 20 years, and I have working hours of up to 40,000. I earned my experience when I work as a DI. My experience, my qualifications are not given by the TD. People pay the same tuition fees for driving lessons, but they are paying the not so experienced DI. This is not fair to the driving students. Now you people are kidding yourselves, and TD is shirking responsibility to you. You hide behind all sorts of reasons and excuses. You say there should be fairness. Now ask the driving students if they find the practice of Hong Kong SM agreeable. This school drives us away. Next, Mr. Chan. Good morning, officials, members, and deputations. I'm Chen Wai-man. I speak on behalf of the concerned group of driving. For the DI license issuing mechanism, the administration is colluding with other parties, and the TD is not doing a good job as a gatekeeper. Option 6, there are options as 6 plus 3, but we only have 2 to 3 days before we are to give our views to the TD. The consultation was not sufficient. We urge the administration to maintain the current issue mechanism, that is, to keep option 1. And this is our choice. Let me give you a real example. Mr. Lam Win-ming, who is a DI. In the 60s and 70s, he was a DI for Group 1 vehicles. I am here on his behalf because he can't come here. He has not driven a car to the outside of Lechko, and he has not gone on a hunger strike. He did not tell me that he was unhappy. He knew that we have to follow the order of the society. He did not renew his DI license because of personal reasons. In 2003, there was the reissuing of DI license. He made applications and he got a ticket after the lot drawing exercise. He went through exams and got the license. Some people want to get the license after retirement. They try to dodge the mechanism. How come they can be allowed to do that? Mr. Leung Yiu Chung, good morning. I am in support of option 1. We oppose collusion between administration and the business sector. We don't think the fair mechanism of lot drawing should be taken away. We don't think the pay of RDI should be exploited. If the administration condone and encourages the HKSM to monopolize the sector, then the our DI, the existing DI will be affected, and also members of the public. Now, companies like CLP and Hong Kong Electric, they are like this, and the LegCo can do nothing. These companies are allowed to make huge profits. What sort of administration is this? How come the policy lopsided to these are monopolies? Free market should be free, open, and fair. The HKSM has a market share of over 30% only, and now it's dropped to 20%. You know their position. We welcome competition. We welcome competitors to the trade, but the lot drawing exercise should be fair and open, and people should be tested by TD so as to ensure the qualifications of DI and to ensure safety of road users. We support option 1 and maintain the current issuing mechanism.
Thank you. Mr. Tamchi Wing, I am both an RDI and PDI. Well, before I became a PDI in 2003 and 09, I joined lot drawing. I failed in 2003. In 09, I was the only one who was honored to got a license, and then after a very stringent examination, I was awarded a PDI. So all my friends and also my friends who are soccer coaches would also like to get a license. Now they know that there will be new PDIs available. They want to get one. Well, on the 11th of March 2011, there was a major earthquake in Japan. Well, all the OK stores, 7-Eleven were crowded, but all the Japanese stood in line. They were very orderly. Well, we have this system in Hong Kong. Many people like to jump the queue. The RDIs serving DDS in particular. If they want to apply for PDI licenses using that tactic, it is not allowed. They are just asking for special arrangements. They would like to jump the red lights, so they want to be given a priority to receive RDI licenses. This is unacceptable. I hope members can support option 1, maintain the status quo. Thank you. Mr. Zhong Wing, government officials, members of the panel, good morning. I'm a member of an organization representing Hong Kong Guangdong drivers. Well, at the peak of our business, there were 30,000 people in this trade, but now the industry has shrunk to less than 10,000 drivers. And of course, many people have switched their trade. Some are also unemployed. And in 2003-2009, the government issued a new PDI licenses. Some drivers in my trade joined the lot drawing, and luckily, after joining the test by TD, they got PDI licenses. Some of them are PDIs now. And a member or an individual said just now that driving instruction is not just about operating the vehicle. You have to know the road surface and gain experience. So many of us that are drivers serving Hong Kong and Guangdong are well qualified to be instructors. If licenses are granted to RDIs, then our opportunities will be less. And for drivers who would like to become DIs, well, we would lose out. No matter how skillful and experienced we are, we cannot use them. So this organization supports option 1. We want fair, open, and just lot drawing procedures so that those who are competent and qualified can join the industry and become PDIs. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chen Dik Sao. Members of the council, officials, and members of the same trade, good morning. I represent the concerned group for PDI licenses. Well, we support option 1. Many professional drivers support option 1 as well. All right. After we've received the consultation document, and as at now, we have over 330 odd drivers supporting this. They have joined this signature campaign to show their support for option 1. I can pass on such documents to the panel later. We believe we represent the interests of the community. PDIs should be for the community, not just for the industry. In the last drawing exercise, lot drawing exercise, 33,000 applicants joined, and I think at present there are 30,000 drivers wanting to join this trade. So the quota should not be reserved for current or existing DIs. Well, we should serve the interests of the community. Ordinary members of the public should be given a chance to get a PDI license. Well, even if I have the licenses for all 3 groups, I cannot coach learner drivers in all groups. So why shouldn't the licenses be given to members of the public so that there can be more job opportunities? I think here we should consider public interest. I think this is only known among the industry. For large vehicles, DIs, they don't have enough students to make a living. Thank you. Mr. Lok Chan Yip, good morning. I am a PDI. I am from Group 2. Among friends of the industry, I know over 100 of them are eligible to apply for a license, and they did join the lot drawing procedures in 2003-09. Some failed in both exercises, and some was only successful once, and I was successful in 2009. But none of us felt that the arrangement was unfair to anyone. We've not asked for an adjustment in the system to cater for us. Rather, they are willing to join lot drawing exercises in order to join the trade. However, the TD has proposed 9 options in the coming exercise, 7 of which will give priority to incumbent members of the trade. So members of the public that are waiting to join the trade will get less chance as a result. This is absolutely unfair to them. So we go for option 1. We want to maintain the status quo. A few days ago, I went to report a case in the police station. Although I was very busy, I had urgent business. I was told by the police officer concerned that many people were waiting, and I had to get a jeep to wait for my turn. So although I was very eager to be given priority, well, we must not be so selfish. We cannot jump the queue because so as to serve our self-interest. While I pity them, perhaps they've been bullied by different parties, but they have to respect the rule of law and also fairness and our fair system in Hong Kong. Thank you. Mr. Lau Wing Hoi. Thank you, Chairman and members of the industry. Good morning. I am a PDI. I am Lau Wing Hoi. Well, the system would be triggered when the number is below 10% of the benchmark. According to the TD, there are about 1,830 DIs. But this is just a fake figure because some DIs hold licenses in more than one group. So you cannot reflect the actual number of DIs available. How can a DIT coach learn driver in more than one group at the same time? So this time there are 287 new licenses available. If all or half of them are given to RDIs and Group 2, Group 3 DIs, this is not fair. The resources will be over-concentrated. There will be no increase in number of DIs. There will be a reduction. So there will be limited choice for the public, and this is not solving the public. And then people will feel that we're operating like a black box. In 2003-09, there were lot drawing, and then 520 new licenses were issued. As a result, there was new blood, and the industry was rejuvenated. So I think we should take this opportunity to allow more DIs to join the industry so that we be given a facelift. So I ask for a fair, open, and just lot drawing exercise. We should maintain the status quo. We have our support for option 1. Thank you. Mr. Yu Fu Chang. Good morning. I'm Yu Fu Chang. I am an incumbent PDI. I support option 1, the status quo. I support option 1 because it is well supported by members of the public. It's been in use for more than a decade. There is no problem. It allows everyone an equal chance. No one gets any priority. No one gets any favor. I represent some taxi drivers in coming here. I used to be a taxi driver, and in 2009 I saw in the Gazette that new licenses were available. I applied for one. I was successful. My taxi driver friends felt that the system was very fair because whenever there is any surplus, the administration would use lot drawing to decide who would go first. This is very fair. I've got taxi driver friends who are very safe, very good driving habits, and they have good communication skills, but they never think that they should be given priority because they know that the system is open to all who is qualified or competent. No one gets any priority, so they're all for option 1. I have got a taxi driver friend who applied in 2009. He was number 9 after lot drawing. Oh, he was number 9,000. Well, he believed it's very fair. He believed that all new PDIs should be made available to the public. No one should enjoy any priority. Of course, I want to get GP2, GP3 licenses, but I will go by the established route. I won't ask for any priority treatment. When everyone is law-abiding and join the queue, if somebody jump the queue, then no one would like to follow the rules. Thank you. Mr. Ho Chen Pong, thank you. I am PDI. I have the comments to make on the news on the system. For those that are qualified as RDI, they knew full well before they joined DDS. They knew that they would not become a PDI after retirement. Recently, a few RDIs were sacked because they were involved in union activities, and they aroused public concern by claiming that their wages were low and bullied by DDS. If wages are low, they should make representations to their employer. It is in fact a labor dispute, and they want to change the system. They will become the greatest winner if the system is changed. I was in the logistics industry for 10 years, and then in 2009 I became aware of the issue of new PDI licenses. So through the fair and open and just lot drawing procedures, I was given a chance to sit the examination, and with the exception of option 1, all the options would give priority to certain sectors. sectors. It's not fair to all competent members of the public who would like to get PDI licenses. Many of my relatives and friends from the industry have called to ask me to say here that the licenses must be issued in a fair, open and just manner.
Mr. Lam Wai Pong. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. I'm Lam Wai Pong. I'm a PDI. I want to tell you how I entered the trade. Before that, I was a bus driver at KMB. I thought I would be a bus driver till I retire. But then in 2009, there is this issue of PDI license by TD. And so I made applications. I wanted to make an application for a Group 2 PDI license, but then I knew more people will be learning Group 1, how to drive Group 1 vehicles. Many of my friends made applications, but I was the only one who got the chance. My friends were not frustrated because we knew the exercise was fair, open and just. There would be more chances. I am grateful to this opportunity to have my qualifications to be recognized by TD. So I think the most important thing is to have a fair, just and open exercise. A small group of people want to jump queue. The TD should not allow that. I and some other KMB drivers support option 1. And I wish good health to Mr. Lin Kwok and to have a good retirement life. Thank you. Next, Mr. Choi Wai-yin. Chairman, members, and friends from the trade, good morning. I'm Choi Wai-yin. I have a PDI license for Group 1 vehicles. I understand that the TD proposes amending the license issue mechanism, and the HKSM drivers can jump queue to make applications for PDI license for Group 1. This is not fair. From 30,000 applicants, I have got a ticket of number 1058, and so I made the application and got the chance and then later got the license. But the administration proposes giving the opportunity to the people with vested interest. They are proposing abolishing the existing mechanism, which is favorable to members of the public who are not involved in collusion of interest. This is not fair. This is not fair to the 30,000 odd applicants. Now, the application exercise is fair and open. Those who got the PDI license got the recognition from TD. So as long as you are tested by TD, then you have certain qualifications to be a PDI. We're not talking about... Now, it's not necessary that if you are a RDI, then you will know how to coach learner drivers. This is just something to confuse the public. Most of the driving examination route do not come with restricted areas. However, this is for the RDI, but for PDI, that's not the case. We are subject to many limitations. Good morning. I'm Ma Heng Chung. I want to talk about the PDI license system of TD. Now, Group 2-3 coach can't teach learner student of Group 1. But then the PDI will get license for different groups of vehicles. It's like granting the right of a boat to a baby who is not born to local parents. We talk about this with the administration, but the TD is rigid. They keep saying that we have different DIs for different vehicle groups. You are testing the skills of the DI, but you haven't tested the DI for their teaching skills. The TD doesn't do that. And the TD has not projected the future number of DIs. In 02, 09, over 630 licenses were granted, but only 1/3 of these people choose to teach, to coach. So you have to make the necessary projection so as to ensure resources is well spent and ensure that there are opportunities for new DIs. Next, Mr. Chen Chen-yun. Good morning. I am not going to give a long speech for GP23 PDIs. They have been DIs for over 20 years. We have had many meetings with the Transport Department. We have been to this panel for many occasions to discuss it. The officials give us this false hope, saying that we can be DIs for different groups of vehicles. I hope this is really something for us. This is real hope for us. Next, Mr. Ng Yam Shing. Good morning. Good morning, members and officials from TD. I represent Public and Private Light Buses Driving Instructors Society. I'm Ng Yam Shing. Our association support option 3. Let me give you the reason. First, public resources will not be wasted. Now, the lucky draw is done by computer. There will be written test and driving test. There will be a manpower arrangement for the test. Lots of public resources are allocated to all these. And over 47,000 people made applications for the license, but only less than 300 people got the license. It's like wasting the public's time. We support option 3 because it is the best for public safety. Now, if you visit Japan or you go to a business trip to Japan, you know that the Japanese people are very orderly, especially when it comes to driving manners. Many people say that the Japanese drivers do not cut lanes and there are very few traffic accidents. Now, the drivers behind would give way if the driver in the front wants to cut lanes. They are very orderly. I don't think this is something we see in Hong Kong. If you drive at 50 kilometers, you have no chance to cut lanes. And the drivers behind you will even speed up to overtake you. So for the sake of safety, we should support option 3. Because that will ensure you get experienced DIs. Next, Mr. Ma Kwai-wa. Good morning, friends from the trade and administration and members. I am from Hong Kong Society of Articulated Vehicle Driving Instructors. On the 31st of March in 2010, there was this consultation exercise on 3-in-1 option. Only 16 deputations spoke. But now, 9 options are proposed by TD. And since then, we have lots of voices. And today, we have over 50 deputations here. Does it show that there is some problem to the license issue mechanism? Most DIs have an experience of over 20 years. And they have accumulated rich experience. Over the past 20 years, we fight to get PDI license in Group 1, but the TD stores its feet, saying that it has to do consultation. So I want to express my strong objection to the practice of TD. They are exploiting the rights of PDIs, and they are wrecking our practice. For the safety of road users of 7 million people, I opt for option 3, so that DIs who are experienced to have experience of up to even more than 3 years, they will get a fair chance. That will also save public resources. Next, Mr. Wu Hing-shing. Good morning, legislators, officials from TD. I represent Hong Kong Drivers Training Association. Our members hold PDI license for Group 2-3. We can be PDI for MGV, HGV, articulated vehicles, light buses and buses. In 03-08, TD announced this application exercise for Group 1 license. The criteria is that one should get a 3-year experience in driving LGV. Now, if there is an emergency on the road, can these people teach the learner drivers how to react? Please consider this point. And please ensure that we can enhance the quality of PDI. I support option 3. Mr. Chang San-ping. Good morning. I've listened to so many colleagues from the trade. I think they are a bit greedy. People just look at their own interest. Now, our group is formed by people who are sacked by Hong Kong SM in 03. Now, some of the options are favorable to us because they give priority to former RDI. The most fair one is that members of the public can also given the same opportunity. Some of our members say that, well, some people are worried that if we are given priority, we will enhance the competition. But I think the situation is one left from history. People say that no one should be allowed to jump queue. But issuing of license is something complex. Collusion between government and business sector is also complex. If we want fairness, there should not be restriction, and people should opt for option 6. But we are asked by the TDs, we are asked to choose an option. So option 3 is one of the fair option, or option 6, that is open the competition to all members of the public. That means there should be no restriction, just like the issuance of taxi driver license. We have many taxi driver license, but not many people are driving taxi. So we should open the gate for everyone. Next, Mr. Zhou Xiaoli. Good morning, everyone. I am a PDI. The TD proposes this consultation, and I support option 1, that is maintain the status quo. Lucky draw should be the option, the way to make opportunities available to every member of the public. This is a fair, open, and just mechanism. Now, I want to tell you my feelings concerning the consultation. First of all, I don't understand why we have so many other options to choose from, since the current exercise is so fair. To the PDI to the former and current RDI, if they're given a priority, isn't it unfair to the public? The status quo has been working for so many years. It's been recognized as a fair mechanism. How come some people are proposing to remove it? Most of the other options focus on how to give priority to those already in the trade. If you look at the number of members of the public and those in the trade, you should not have this question. And I think we should look at the interests of members of the public. We should not take away the opportunities of members of the public just because they are not PDI or RDI. If the member of the public is not skillful in his driving, then he would not pass the test. And the RDI, PDI, they already accumulated experience, so they enjoy an edge in the test. So how come we have to give them favor by changing the mechanism?
Under Secretary. So deputations and individuals have expressed their views mainly on the 9 options in the consultation document. Do you think you need to respond? I'll just respond very briefly. First, I am grateful to the deputations and individuals for coming to this session to express their views. I believe my colleagues in the Transport Department have already consulted you before this meeting. Of course, it is a good thing for you to come here to let the administration as well as the members of the panel to know your views. Different deputations have different perspectives. You've all talked about what is meant by fair and reasonable and just, and how the system can be improved. These viewpoints are useful for our work. There are a few principles. First, to maintain a two-pronged approach. Is good to our system and training of drivers. And we have to ensure that the system is fair and just and open. And I think you all agree that we should respect skills and experience. And you all agree that we should give opportunities to newcomers. So I think all these are important in designing the new system. If we can come up with an option that can take care of all the concerns or principles I just outlined, now that would be good. Of course, I don't rule out the possibility of yet new options. So long as the industry can come up with a consensus, I'm sure it will be helpful to the whole industry. And when we legislate, it would also assist legislators in deciding when they scrutinize the proposals. Thank you. 6 members have raised their hands, but as we all know, we still have another session. So I must not allow this meeting to overrun too much. I have another meeting at 11:15, so you're asking to go first. Fan Kok Wei, Wong Kwok Heng, Lee Chuk Yen, Albert Chen, Paul Tse, Ronnie Tong. Mr. Tong would like to go first. Is there any objection? No? Okay. Well, we are very hard-pressed for time, and I don't want the deputations for the next session to wait for too long. So I will allow each member up to 3 minutes. Thank you. I'd like to say this to the Under Secretary. RDIs serving DDS felt being bullied and suppressed and treated unfairly. And for other PDIs, they feel that it's unfair if a special treatment is granted to RDIs. So I think it's difficult to come up with an option acceptable to different parties. Still, TD has to face up to the fact that there are unfair practices in DDS. Now, if RDIs cannot join the open market upon dismissal, of course, DDS with no incentive to improve their treatment because they won't care about the livelihood of RDS. So without affecting too much, the PDIs should the Transport Department provide a way out for RDIs so that the operators of DDS will not continue to bully and suppress their DIs, because the system is encouraging DDS to monopolize the market, and this is very unfair. So can the Transport Department come up with an option that takes care of the interests of different parties? I know it is impossible that everyone can agree to this option. Sometimes it's not possible to have a consensus. So can the TD come up with an option that is balanced and can take care of the interests of different parties? Mr. Yao, yes, I understand Mr. Ronnie Tong's considerations. Regarding unfair practices in DDS, well, there is only one representative from one DDS here, and the other one is absent. I think it will only be fair if we can hear the views of the DDS before we come to a conclusion. And one representative said that the TD only gave very short notice to the industry in our consultation. In fact, the consultation is not yet over. It is still ongoing. I hope we can come together, sit down and discuss so that we can come to a consensus. I agree with Mr. Ronnie Tong in that we can't have an arrangement that is acceptable to everyone, but we want to have a mainstream option which is transparent and fair, and that will also allow members of the public to join the industry. So I think this is what I've gathered from the speeches this morning, and we will move along this line. Mr. Gary Fan, I thank the deputations for giving us their comments this morning, and we understand that perhaps at this juncture there should be some review or reform of the system. I have received some complaints from DIs that they were not given enough time in the public consultation. They were asked to state the position within a few days. And they also talked about the monopoly by DDS. Once RDIs leave DDS, their DI license would automatically lapse. This is quite rare. For bus drivers, if they have left their bus company they serve, using their number 17 license, they can obtain a number 9, number 10 license to continue to serve. So the current system is problematic for RDIs. So I'd like to ask the administration whether it is determined to break this monopoly by DDS. And for DDS, they have simulated road service for examination. Has the administration will the administration provide parity treatment and provide similar examination routes for learners of PDIs? Now, Mr. Luk Chan Yip said that people agreed that LDIs are being bullied, and still there should be no priority treatment for them. All right, I'd like to ask how we can protect the interests of both the industry and the public. Thank you. Mr. Yao. No, we have not asked stakeholders to state a position at once. I think colleagues were approaching stakeholders to gauge their views. It's not that the consultation period is over. No, we are still in the process of public consultation to collect your views. Regarding monopoly by DDS and undesirable practices of DDS, I invite the TD to supplement. But we believe it is important that we have DDS to allow driving instructions or driving lessons to take place off-road. Since there are strong views that LDIs should be given some priority, where their views should be respected because after all they experienced. So we have incorporated their views and proposed possible options. So we've incorporated their view. But of course, we would like to have to hear more from stakeholders. TD. Well, because of time constraints, I cannot allow another official to supplement. However, in the next session, if we have time, I will allow that to happen. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng. First, I thank deputations their views. I've listened very carefully to their remarks and their positions. Well, 16 out of the 25 deputations categorically supported option 1. That is already the mainstream consensus. 5 supported option 3. 5 were very strong against the hegemony of DDS. Mr. Lin fainted while he was speaking. So there are a few issues for the administration to respond in clear terms. What is the view of the position of the administration in relation to option 1, which has got the majority support here? Well, they said that tens of thousands of people joined the lot drawing exercise, and the system has been in place for a long time and is fair and transparent and open. Has the administration considered the unfairness if this system is to be changed? It's just like people on the waiting list for PRH. If the system is suddenly changed, how are you going to deal with the applicants on the waiting list, and also the employment relations in DDS and the bullying and exploitation by the employer? Is there any plan from the administration to review the situation? Their privilege and their hegemony have given rise to unfair treatment to LDS. Otherwise, Mr. Lin would not have fainted because he got so agitated. You cannot turn a blind eye to the situation in DDS and bringing in changes that would affect the PDIs and members of the public. All right, Undersecretary, you claimed that the consultation exercise is not yet over. You asked them to state their views within 3 days. This is a problem. We're here to listen to their views. You only give them 3 days, and with one voice, they criticize you for being so unfair. So I leave half a minute for you to respond. Order, please. deputations, and members of the public gallery. Well, Chairman, there's already a mainstream view, so please don't say that there is no mainstream view. Mr. Yao, we're still in the process of public consultation. And in the deliberation process, there may be new options. So we maintain an open mind in listening to views from stakeholders. There is no question of requiring the trade to make a decision within 3 days. Thank you. Mr. Lee, yeah. It's regrettable that the whole thing is so polarized. I would like to throw out option 10, option 7, depending on how you number them, for your consideration. The TD is all along connived the transfer of benefits by DDS. Everyone is unhappy with the system. I think there's a consensus. DDS are given special favors because their learner drivers can get an earlier slot for the examination. So first, we must stop the monopoly by the driving schools. Secondly, you want fair and openness.
But then the DDS can employ someone who doesn't have a DI license. Now there's this two-pronged approach. On the one hand, tens of thousands of people have to make applications. On the other hand, there is this queue where people line up to apply for jobs at the DDS and they will take on board these people. Is it fair? That's why I say there should be an option 7. There should be 200 plus licenses available for applications for members of the public. And the system should not be exploiting the RDI, and the two-pronged approach, two-pronged system should be abolished. The RDIs are not worried about being tested. They just want to get a license. So what will happen after they got the license? It seems that it's like allowing them to jump the queue. But that's not the case. We are simply recognizing their experience accumulated over the past 10 years. And after abolishing the two-pronged system, the DDS has to identify and hire people from the market. So the market is open to all members of the public. So you will have options. In turn, you can choose to work for DDS or you can choose to be a PDI. And the DDS can choose from over thousands of people. And you are one of the thousands of people. You and the RDIs. And with the over 200 odd licenses, altogether we have over 1,000 licenses. And after this option is launched, then there's no problem of DDS monopolizing the market. I think this option, so-called option 7, is fairest. We allow RDI to compete, and we are opening up the market to members of the public. Next, Mr. Albert Chen. I think there are two major points here. There are two systems running together, and it seems that there is this system giving favor to the DDS. We have one country, two system in Hong Kong. When it comes to PDI license issuing system, we also have two systems in play. And these two systems are unfair. And we should remove the monopoly of DDS in terms of publicity, in terms of having people lined up to take courses. The TD is partial to the DDS, and so the situation is not fair to the PDIs. That's why we have to take away the privileges enjoyed by DDS. And the second problem, the second system, I've been commenting it for many years. Now, the DIs are professionals. But for the other professionals, the qualifications are not based on the number of hours worked. It's only in the DI sector that we adopt this criteria. You may say that you want to control traffic on the road. You can do that by administrative means. I've had many meetings with the TD, and I also talked to Ms. Law. Ms. Law has been with us for many years, so I think she's very familiar with the issue. So first of all, you have to break the monopoly of DDS, which is unacceptable to me. Now, many deputations here do not think we should open the application for RDI. You are worried that opening up the applications will affect you, but then professionals, sectors should be open to people. If you open up the sector, we can break the monopoly of DDS. It seems you're contradicting yourself. So, can we open up the sector? I want to know their views. Before year 2000, the application was made available to members of the public. Sorry, time's up for deputations. Mr. Porcher. Chairman, my late father was a PDI. He worked in the 70s, has been working as a PDI for many years. We understand the plight of a PDI. He has no leaves, even when the weather was not good. Mr. Chen, please be seated. We need order in the council. Just now, members focused on fairness. Fairness in lot drawing and fairness and fair chance to enter the trade, as well as respect to those with experience. All these boils down to fairness. Now, Mr. Lee Chek-yen proposes option 7. I can propose 12 options. Mr. Albert Chan talks about limit to the trade. There's no limit to the trade, no bar to the trade in other professions. Other professions look at your qualifications. And if you enter the trade, it's up to you to see if you have any business, if you choose to make use of your license. Now, the TD may say they have to consider the traffic issue. But still, I want to say that people can choose whether they want to use their license after gaining it. That's the same in the medical field, in the legal field. So I don't know why we have to have this ban, this constraint in the DI sector. I think we should open up the sector to all interested parties. And after they got the license, they can choose whether they want to use the license. So they can have freedom. And they can also choose whether they want to go into self-employment or they want to join a driving school. At present, the issue is dividing those interested parties. But I think we should open up the sector so that people will have more choices. They can choose whether they want to be self-employed, join a driving school, or whether they want to use their license. We pitch people against each other, which is unnecessary. Mr. Chang Sanping said we have our own interest, but I think, to be fair, it means we have to offer freedom to people. All right, that's all for this session. Thank you, deputations and individuals. Mr. Lin fainted just now and he's been sent to QMH. And I wish him well. I suspend the meeting for 6 minutes. It will resume at 11:30. And we'll ask